If we are lucky enough to have this conversation in 2033,
Yeah.
a decade from now, thinking about all of the things that are just completely transforming healthcare, from AI to the digital therapeutics to a more engaged and diverse population of users, what are we going to be talking about in 2033 if you're leading NICE?
Yeah. So I've got one problem I think we should have solved, and one thing we're going to talk about. The problem we should have solved is around multi-morbidity, and the problem we're going to be talking about is health inequalities.
Mm-hmm.
So on multi-morbidity, the thing that I fret about is that we're still seeing single guidelines, single technologies, single use case, but we already know by 2037, 2/3 of people over the age of 65 are going to have more than one long-term condition.
Mm-hmm.
So we hopefully by then we would have figured out both what's the research that accounts for that, what are the package of interventions that can help deal with these common clusters of disease, and what's the service model that people need around them. Do they need more pharmacy input? Do they need more community advice, etc.? So that we should have sorted, Patti. We should be patting ourselves on the back, because if we don't, then that will be catastrophic. The more deep-seated problem that I think we will be fretting about is health inequalities.
Mm-hmm.
Because already we're seeing there will be very expensive medicines, some for a small number of patients, some for, thousands or a larger number of patients, that will become increasingly affordable in health systems where we can't fund enough nurses. The ambulance isn't picking you up on time. And so that risk of developing this two-tier health system, either within countries or between different countries, that have historically been large markets for pharmaceutical companies, is very real.
Mm-hmm. Do you envision thinking about an elderly individual that will have multiple chronic conditions? Are you envisioning that you would have a guideline that might deal with an individual with diabetes and hypertension and atherosclerosis and obesity, that you would have a guideline that covers all of those conditions and represents a typical patient?
Yeah, so that is exactly the question we're asking ourselves at the moment. So we have historically done some work on multi-morbidity, and we're thinking about what we do next. But it's hard to know what value added we can bring, because at the moment, really, what you've got is that guideline you described would just be all the recommendations from the different guidelines, plus saying, oh, by the way, these are common conditions that co-occur, so make sure you test for them. And these are the drug-drug interactions, or the medicine interactions you should be aware of. That people kind of already know at the moment. So you could imagine a world, and now I'm completely imagining, where we look at, actually, is there something going on much deeper in these clusters of diseases, where there are certain things that we should emphasize more, there are certain biomarkers that are more important of how your course is going to go, and therefore we should have different treatment regimens. So I would hope that it's not just taking what we know now and banging it all together, but it's that we've got these much deeper understanding of these clusters of diseases, why they co-occur, what we can do at the root cause, what preventative interventions we need to provide, i.e. we know mental health conditions will coexist with 1/3 of them. What do we do early? So it's a bit more being innovative around it, rather than just summarizing what we already know.
Well, I am so excited of the opportunities that are before us. I think me being in the industry for almost 40 years, we had a very slow on-ramp into placing a flag in the sand, developing guidelines, moving beyond methods to actually assessing whether or not those methods were working. And it feels like to me that in the last couple of years, there's been, what's the word? There's been an impatience with not putting something out there and saying, let's just see how it works and truly implement a learning healthcare system. I think it's quite encouraging in the last 2 years, if we look at the number of guidelines that have been released by major HTA agencies and non-HTA agencies in the US, that there's finally something out there to react to.
Yeah. And I completely agree. And even in small ways, I mean, we've done two small things. So one is we've decided we can't do these big methods updates every 5 years or however often. Is that the world is changing so quickly that we've now moved to modular updates, where we anticipate every year almost we're going to be updating our methods. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that given uncertainties that will abound on medicines, but also actually really importantly on digital products, particularly on digital products, we're expanding this kind of data gathering offering that we're doing, where we go, you know, this, and this is good, but it's good evidence, but you still need to get this, and this, and this is how we would suggest you structure the trial. So, I think we're seeing all of that around the world, you know, more managed access, more innovation in methods. So I agree with you. It feels like tricky time from a kind of economic and health system and life science business model point of view, but enough innovation, the HTA bodies internationally, that I feel we can wend our way through the through the middle of that difficult needle.
Well, I think NICE is in very good hands with you. I so appreciate your willingness to sit down and most importantly, your transparency and your ability to just open the books on NICE and show how you go about your decision making and the way in which you engage with all the stakeholders.
Thank you so much, Patti. It's been an absolute delight.
Same. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.